Actually, that's because of his background, like for working in the movie rental store. He had seen actually everything that the store has, and like his recommendations were like on point, and he didn't have a film degree. So most of his impressions or ideas like were from those movies that were made already made. But yeah, apart from that, he also adds an originality to his films, like the use of music and certain camera angles, or the transition between like using books as an inspiration, the chapter thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kshitij, so building on your background, right, and not just about his film recommendations, even if you look at interviews where people talk about Tarantino, so one common theme that you get from that is that the way he talks to people about their roles, like I saw you in this movie and you were so perfect, and like he liked this, and this. So he has a very critical eye of
yeah,
almost every movie he watches, and that helps.
Borderline obsessive, right?
Exactly.
It's
Ha ha
like
ha ha.
you have John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. It's like
Hmm,
almost everybody except Tarantino was against having him.
hmm,
And then Tarantino was like, nah, we are having this guy here.
yeah.
So even as
But
a person, he's a very interesting person to like
Yeah,
just
and also
look
like
at.
this also like came from another his background thing. Like he had taken acting classes for 6 years. So
okay,
Like
yeah,
we should
so,
just label Kshitij as the fanboy slash stalker. No, I
yeah,
don't
we
know.
can.
We can.
He knows
so
the life history of Tarantino.
thanks
Everything.
to one or two YouTube videos.
Like I have watched a lot of YouTube videos, right? And I don't know half as much as you.
So
You haven't
yes,
watched the right YouTube videos.
yeah,
That might be the case. Might be the case. Efficient
You
stalking
got
techniques.
distracted by anime.
yes. So this thing also seeps into his writing. So while writing, he like already has the characters also or the actors in his mind, like who is gonna portray this role and how I'm gonna write him. And then like this may not be true for like initial movies like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, but for others like when he had a familiarity with the characters, like he was writing those scripts while considering them in mind, and while also writing the dialogues and all, or also as a director, he's like, okay, so if like as an actor I'm gonna think it like this, so that guy is trying to act like this, so I need to read it like this. So it's kind of had an eye of critic as well as the actor, as well as the director, as well as the writer, so that like he can flesh his movie more and make it more appealing to all the people who are involved in that movie.
Like the closest to full stack movie development you can get to.
Yeah,
Ah, like you can also see that the amount of times he's repeated actors, right? It's
yeah,
almost become like a family affair.
yeah.
Like,
And
I
another
think
point,
this guy will be definitely there in some role.
yeah,
Hmm.
and this also adds to his music choice in the movies. So while writing also, so he selects the music while writing only. This also helps the score to be more natural or to be in sync with the scenes that are there. Like you have a rap song to a shootout which is happening in during the time of slavery, but it doesn't feel out of place while it's happening.
Yeah, because it's pre-designed.
Yeah,
But that is a very like a good as like masterful aspect, right? How much he can kind of to say it, like break the rules. It's like you'll have a serious scene, you should have serious music. Unless you have a comedy film, in which
yeah.
case you don't have to do that. But here he still manages to add like jazz or something in the serious scene and still make it work.
So
But like the best part about that was also how like about his direction. So if you take the example of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he goes to that ranch, it's like that scene is legit tense.
yeah,
Towards the end, adds to the tension. And if you think about what's happening, it's a guy going to visit an old man.
yeah.
Just try making that a tense scene. But Tarantino has done that.
And also another thing, like so, as like we don't have the knowledge of the pre-existing events that like inspired the movie. So the ranch was actually the base of that like cult.
It
Like,
was the base of that hippie group, and
uh,
the kind of leader, basically the main guy of that group, used to live in the mansion that the Manson family now Manson family started to live in.
Like, let's not discuss fact. We have
But
good videos
no,
that go
so
into the
that
development.
like about that, it's also about how Tarantino wants to recreate history, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Huh.
Throughout movies.
Hmm.
That is like a constant theme he tries to show. And
Yeah.
there was also interviews about him. He wants to like create characters. So even if you take like Django Unchained, which does not as such try to recreate history,
Hmm.
but like what Tarantino said that he wanted to create a hero for the black people. It's like you guys can also rise up from slavery and then set up a life for yourself, that kind of thing.
Giving the power to the victim, like
Exactly.
as
So
he had does
that
in Inglourious Basterds.
that kind of like powerful ideology that all of his movies carry.
Like in most of them, you see the character suffer for some time. Then you have the triumph moment.
Nee, but Raji, coming back to the powerful ideology that you're talking, could you detail other thing? Because
So,
like,
like you have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that tries to change the history of the Manson murder thing, the
Yeah.
Manson murder incident. Then you have Inglorious Bastards, who is trying to change World War II.
Yeah.
do you really feel that there is some hidden ideology or things like that,
He's,
other
he's
than
trying
just
to change history.
reimagining history? But then again,
There,
right? So
there is
these
like
are the only
so
three movies, right? Like which follow
no,
that.
there's like Kill Bill has the female, like the hero female, so she's not
Yeah.
at all feministic, like
Female
showing
leading
the
fighting.
opposite sides of a woman.
Yeah.
And Pulp Fiction is Pulp Fiction. We don't compare it to it.
We don't compare per se. Nee, okay, so like if you think about things like Kill Bill, okay, in that sense, okay, ठीक है, fair enough.
It's always a strong, very strong ideology that he's trying to deliver, right? He's like, this is how I wanted World War II to end. You just go send in a assassination group, kill Hitler.
People have done that.
Have they?
Yeah.
Oh, there's an entire documentary on like
Yeah.
how
Like
many how many failed assassination attempts on Hitler were carried out.
Like, y- yeah,
But we digress. But we
we
digress.
digress. Let's not Tarantino. In Tarantino universe, those assassinations were successful.
yeah.
Oh, and how they were successful with backdrop of music opera.
Burning down an entire opera house. But then also, like another beautiful thing about his movies was the dialogue delivery.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It's like a lot centered around dialogues. Like
Yeah.
especially I felt this with Hateful Eight.
Hmm, hmm,
It's
hmm, hmm.
like initially the movie starts out very slowly. You have nothing happening,
Yeah.
and it starts getting irritating. And just at that time, you start getting those interesting dialogues. It's like this guy had the most brilliant idea in the world. It was so brilliant that nobody had thought of it before. And like that, you must have seen it online as well, right? Like how his dialogue is structured in a way that it just makes you curious,
Yeah.
begs you to
Okay.
ask like, why, what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So
But
this aspect, right, with what you're talking about is so perfectly encapsulated in Reservoir Dogs, right? So my entire enjoyment of that movie is the way it's structured to go about specifically that way. So I recommend you watch it later again.
Mhm. But I felt it like best in Hateful Eight because the entire like ignore the shooting scenes which are very brief. Like if you subtract those, what else is left in the movie? It's just dialogue.
Yeah. Like people sitting in the cabin, people sitting in the like cart.
Yeah, they're like stuck in a house and then you just have dialogue. But that dialogue is so powerful.
Yeah.
It almost made me feel like a mystery novel. It's like you're slowly peeling back the layers, unwrapping the secret that happened.
Completely agreed. That's why it's my
That
second
yeah,
pick. Second pick after Reservoir Dogs.
yes, we hope that will change, but okay.
what?
I'll let it
What
slide
is
for
this? You have not watched Reservoir Dogs, right?
I'm not commenting about Reservoir Dogs.
No, so Hateful Eight is
I'm
my
just trying to
second.
nudge. I'm just trying to nudge Pulp Fiction up.
That will definitely be there. That I don't doubt that happening.